Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. So I've got a confession to make. I used to be one of those people who'd book a trip and completely skip over travel insurance. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? Well, it turns out quite a lot, actually. And after learning that lesson the hard way on a trip where everything that could go wrong did, I decided to dive deep into travel insurance options this year. Now, I get it. Travel insurance ain't exactly the most exciting topic in the world. It's one of those things that you hope you never need, but you'll be thanking your lucky stars if something goes sideways. Whether it's flight delays or lost luggage or, heaven forbid, a medical emergency, the right coverage can save you from a whole heap of stress and money. I've been testing out 3 of the most talked about providers lately: Faye, Allianz, and TravelGuard. And I'm going to walk you through what I actually found when I dug into their coverage, and I used their apps and even had to file a claim with one of them. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything here. This is what works, what doesn't, and who I would trust with my next trip. All right, let's start off with Faye. And I got to say, this one kind of caught me off guard. When I first heard about them, I'll be honest, I was a little skeptical because they're the new kid on the block compared to the big insurance companies that have been around forever. But sometimes the new guys are the ones shaking things up for the better. What got my attention right off the bat was how dang easy everything was through their app. I could get a quote, customize my coverage, and even file a claim without dealing with paperwork or sitting on hold forever. Here's where it gets real though. I actually had to use them on my Jakarta trip a few months back. My phone got swiped right out of my hand at a busy market, and I'm standing there feeling like a complete tourist. But instead of panicking about how I was going to deal with insurance paperwork in a foreign country, I just opened the Faye app on my wife's phone, filed the claim right there. No joke, I had approval and money in my digital wallet within a couple of hours. And their coverage hits all the basics: trip cancellations, medical emergencies, travel delays, lost luggage. But they also cover things like getting your phone stolen, which apparently happens more than we'd like to admit. You can tailor your plan based on what you're doing. Are you going skydiving? First of all, invite me. But secondly, add adventure sports coverage. Carrying expensive equipment? Bump up your valuables limit. For that Jakarta trip, I paid around $100 for their basic plan, which felt reasonable. Getting that quote was simple. I just punched in my age, destination, and trip length. The one thing that really got me about Faye was how fast they handle the payouts. Once your claim gets approved, the money goes straight to your digital wallet. There's no waiting for weeks for a check to show up at home while you're still traveling and need that cash. By the way, if you're interested in giving Faye or any of the other services a try, check out my affiliate links for all 3 in the description. Using them is a great way to support the channel. Let's talk about Allianz now. And this is where I had to check myself a little bit, because I tend to gravitate toward the newer tech-forward companies. But the fact is, Allianz has done this for decades, and there is something to be said for that kind of experience. Their one trip plan covers pretty much everything you'd want: trip cancellations, delays, medical emergencies, lost luggage, even rental car damage. It's comprehensive without being overwhelming, which I do totally appreciate. But here's what really caught my attention. They have an all trips annual plan. So if you're someone who travels more than a couple of times a year, and once you start traveling more, it does become kind of addictive, this annual coverage just makes sense. Instead of buying insurance every time you book a flight, you get one policy that covers your trips for the whole year. And their customer support is solid. I called them once to just test response time and got through to a real person quite quick. That was refreshing after dealing with companies where you're navigating a maze just to talk to a human person. The pricing varies based on your age, destination, and trip details, but getting a quote is straightforward. You punch in your info and you get an accurate price pretty much instantly. No surprises later, which is always appreciated. But where Allianz really shines is reliability. They've been around long enough to have their processes down pat. And when you're dealing with insurance, that experience matters. TravelGuard sits right in the middle ground between Faye's modern approach and Allianz's traditional reliability. They've got a decent range of plans, and you can customize based on what you need. What I found interesting about TravelGuard is how they handle the quote process. You enter your trip details on their website, and within minutes, you've gotten an accurate estimate. The pricing, obviously, varies on your destination, trip length, and age, but the whole process just feels streamlined. When it comes to filing a claim, the good news is you can always do it through their website no matter where you are. It's straightforward and reliable. And on certain versions of the app, you do get a little bonus. You can actually file your claim directly through the app. It's a nice extra layer of convenience. If you don't have that version, the mobile app still comes in handy, just in a different way. It's packed with travel tools like country and city guides and security alerts and a check-in feature and quick access to medical help. There's even a one-touch help button for emergencies. And one thing I noticed is that their 24/7 support team seems genuinely helpful. They want to help. They'll assist in everything from finding a nearby hospital to making changes to your travel arrangements. Having that kind of backup when you're far from home is worth something, even if you never end up needing it. The coverage itself hits the standard bases. Trip cancellations, medical emergencies, delays, lost luggage, nothing groundbreaking, but solid and dependable. And sometimes that is exactly what you need. All right, here's where I land after testing all three. I'm going with Faye as my top pick, and here's why. Look, Allianz and Travel Guard are both solid choices. They really are. If you're someone who values that traditional insurance company experience and proven track record, either one will serve you well. But Faye just hits different when it comes to the actual user experience and how they handle claims. That whole thing with the phone getting stolen in Jakarta, with a traditional insurance company, I probably would have been dealing with paperwork for days, maybe weeks. With Faye, I had money in my account before I even made it back to my hotel. That's the kind of efficiency that matters when you're actually traveling and dealing with unexpected problems. Plus, the pricing feels honest. There's no hidden terms or confusing fees that makes you wonder what you're actually paying for. And the ability to customize your coverage through the app means you're not paying for stuff you don't need while making sure you're covered for the things that actually matter for your specific trip. Now, if you're someone who travels constantly and wants that annual coverage, Allianz's All Trips plan is definitely worth considering. And if you prefer dealing with a company that's been around forever and has all the traditional processes locked down, Travel Guard won't let you down. But for most folks who want travel insurance that actually works when they need it, without all the hassle, Faye is where I'd put my money. And that's my honest take on the best travel insurance options for 2025. None of the companies asked me to say any of this. This is just what I found out after actually using their services. And in Faye's case, having to rely on them when things went sideways. If you want to try out Faye or any of the other services I mentioned, check out my affiliate links for all three in the description. Using them is a great way to support the channel. So it's a win-win if you're planning to get coverage anyway. What has your experience been with travel insurance? Have you ever had to actually use it? Or are you still one of those people skipping it entirely? Don't worry, I don't blame you. I was there a year ago. I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. The good, the bad, and the I wish I'd bought coverage moments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.